Good afternoon, everybody. This is a live I was supposed to get into and do last week, but there's been a lot of things that's been coming up. So even if you guys get on here with me or don't get on here with me, I'm gonna put my message out there because I think the message is important. All right. I'm gonna wait a couple of minutes. What's up, Ramel? How you feeling? What's up, Tim? What's going on, bro? What's up, Wilfredo Pacheco? What's going on? Joseph Henry, what's up? I ain't got no music for y'all today. I'm just gonna really basically be kicking some fundamentals and keep it real, like I always do. I always keep it real for my brothers and sisters. One thing you will always get from me is the reality, the truth. And I always tell you, my truth might not be your truth, but that don't mean it's not true. So earlier this week, Monday, we had a pick stoppage in Mapstoa during the consolidated pick. So I'm being stretched out a little thin, putting out a lot of fires and fighting the battles that need to be fought. But the pick stoppage, and the importance of protecting our pick rights for our members it's of the utmost importance, because that's what management is always concentrating on, and that's attacking our picks. Recently, leading up to this pick, what's up, Tim? Recently, leading up to the consolidated pick, there was a grievance that was filed against the operator's ability to pick if they was restricted work. Now, with the grievance, the fundamental fight was that people might have went out injured on duty, or went to the MAC Center and got knocked down, and 30 days haven't been passed yet. So your rights to pick were still there under normal circumstances in the past. That was like a past practice for us. But management has been coming down and trying to make new pick rules. And in those pick rules, they put down that you had to pick in your restriction. So what that essentially meant was that if you went down to the MAC Center and you got a restricted duty, that you had to pick in that particular restriction. Now, the downside to that is, once, a senior man could pick into his or her restriction very easily by picking a shifting trick, because that's normally what's available under picking in your restriction. It's a shifting trick that's available, but it can affect a senior person's money, just like anything else. Now, it was grieved. The grievance ultimately was lost. So with, all in a nutshell, we have to pick in our restrictions. So if you go to the MAC Center, and I said this in earlier postings and newsletters that I've put out there, that if you go to the MAC Center and you get a restricted duty, let's say for diabetes or high blood pressure, be quick to resolve the problems and come back to the MAC Center right away with your documentation. And what that's essentially saying is come back to the MAC Center before the date that's on the G46, so you can pick and so you won't get into an issue about picking. Now, the loss of that grievance, if you guys are following me, was a reasoned out decision that also left certain issues to a case-by-case basis. Now, what that meant, and I'll tell you, we had a case this week where an operator was FFD, and that's because they had an accident with injuries. Now, being that they was FFD for an accident with injuries, they had to go down to the MAC Center. So they went down to the MAC Center, and they found to have some medicine inside their system. So now they want to make sure that the medicine that was in their system was prescribed. So the member had to go to the MRO with the documentation from the doctor that the medicine was in fact prescribed. Now, meanwhile, they give the member another urine, send the urine to the lab, and then they gave our member a restricted duty. Our member was supposed to pick at 6:57 Monday night, and he had a restriction, which wasn't going to allow them to pick. So we had a conversation with management under these circumstances. These are the circumstances that I felt, and the rest of my people felt in the union, that this was one of those cases that was a case-by-case situation where they should be allowing this member to pick. Ultimately, what happened is they didn't want the member to pick. So we took the initiative as a union and stopped the pick across Brooklyn and across Manhattan and the Bronx until we came to some type of resolution. Finally, well, Tuesday was a no pick, so we didn't have to worry about Tuesday. So I actually filed the grievance, and the grievance quoted some of the arbitration decision, which meant that in cases like the arbitrator ruled that he didn't want to really put no bad omen on somebody picking, and that certain things should be treated as a case-by-case scenario. So I wrote that in the grievance, and needless to say, we won that grievance. I mean, it was a grievance that I had to pull back, and I've always said that a grievance that's not heard is the best type of grievance. If you can win a grievance without actually having an arbitrator rule on the grievance, those are the best grievance. The best grievances are the ones that don't go forward. You win without a grievance going forward, those are the best ones, because there's no reasoned out decision, because reasoned out decisions don't always go one way. They go both ways. They may rule with the transit authority in one way, or rule with the union in one way, and then while the arbitrator is thinking and writing out his reasoned out decision, the decision may pull the union into something that the union didn't really want to be involved with, that can hurt the union in the future. So grievances are very, very risky business. And I'm going to get into a little bit of campaign here, man. I'm going to tell you why I'm your choice for re-election as the division chairman of MAPSTOA Division 1. And for that matter, I'm going to go on and say that Claude Marshall from the Bronx division should be your only choice for division chairman, because the people who are running for division chairman really don't know. They really don't know. There's a whole bunch of rhetoric that's put out here on social media about why didn't the union don't fight, why the union didn't grieve this, and why the union didn't grieve that. You got to be very, very smart about your grievances, like I just said earlier. You know, I can give a whole lesson on grievances and intend on giving lessons on grievances so people can understand the ramifications of writing a grievance. I mean, you know, there's unfortunate circumstances where you have to file grievances and just let the chips fall where they may. And like I say, you know, a losing decision doesn't necessarily mean a losing decision all the way around. And that goes for the union and management. We both, you know, try to resolve things so it doesn't, you know, come to the point where something hurts us, you know, and you got to be smart about that, because it's not about being the leader of something and then pressing the missile button. You got your members that you have to think about that this may affect. So the decision doesn't come easily when it comes to these things. Unfortunately, we have to file these grievances and make things happen when there's no other recourse, right? And that's just what it is. Donald Yates, why I'm your choice for re-election. And I'm going to tell you straight up, I got a little thing to let y'all know, just in case y'all ain't been paying attention to me over the years. I'm going to let you know who I am and why I'm your choice for election. Number one, I fought for and won the restorations of the 12 jobs that the Transit Authority tried to kill on the M4 out of Manhattanville Depot. Number two, I fought back and I continue to fight back against management's abuse. Fought and defeated management's attempts to fill open work in Tuskegee Depot. Now, what they was trying to do in Tuskegee Depot is they was trying, because the availability was so bad in Tuskegee Depot, they was trying to get me to agree to let people from other depots come into Tuskegee Depot and work overtime out of Tuskegee Depot when the availability was low. And I fought them back on that, and I wouldn't let that happen. I fought and won safety changes in traffic checking, which I represent. Bus stop management in particularly, because they have a machine where they put that plastic stuff over paper, and it causes this smell, and it's really bad. It really makes you sick. I've been in a location where they have all the doors open, and it's really awful. And you know, I went directly to them. I didn't even have to file agreements on that. You know, the threat was enough to make that stop. I fought and defeated discrimination in traffic checking, including pay for investigations, because they would take some of our checkers out and who might have been on investigation for employer beefs or fights, and have them held out of the location and not wanting to pay them. When I found out about that, you know, we made sure they got paid, even if they have to stay home to get paid. They're getting paid, right? I created and maintained the Map Store Facebook page, which you all are a part of, with a divisional newsletter to keep the members informed as well. As a matter of fact, and I said this earlier this week, I'm the creator of the Manhattanville Challenger. For those of you who remember, who worked with me in Manhattanville, even if you was no matter where you was in the system, you knew I had a newsletter out there that pretty much attacked the bosses. And it wasn't just about attacking the bosses, but it was to attack the boss or expose the boss on the little BS that they were doing to create discipline. And I was exposing those managers and continue to do so. That newsletter on the Manhattanville Challenger was started in 2002, which I still have copies till to this very day. I presently changed the newsletter over to the Manhattan Division Challenger, which I still write every so often when I need to get quick information out to the members, and I can't, and the shop gate just ain't gonna cut it, because I need everybody to know what's going on. And people just happen to pick up literature. You know, sometimes if you keep it short and sweet, people will read it. If you keep things long and outlandishly long, people are not going to read it. It's just the nature of our business as transportation folks. We just read what we can real quick and we out. And you got to keep it, sweet if you can. I was essentially reporting to the membership way before Facebook, which makes me the only person running in these elections to do any of the informational stuff first. It was me that done it first. There's people out here that will say that they've done it first, and that I might be biting their style or whatever. Listen, I mean, if you would created the style, then okay, then that's biting. But I created the writing. I did this. I did this first. So you guys got to come to me. I did this first. All right. I fought and I continue to fight and maintain MapStore's rights, pick rights. It could be in the bus operators' pick rights. It could be the traffic checkers' pick rights. It could be My revenue attendants pick rights. I fight and maintain those pick rights. Now, there's a lot of times people don't understand, you know, like my traffic checking brothers and sisters, they don't understand why, you know, I have a pick and everybody's happy with the current pick that they have. But I have to maintain that it's contractually right for us to have a pick over there. And that's what's in the contract. And as soon as you give up your rights, they'll take advantage of that. So I make the transit authority obey our rights under the contract. And that's why we're having picks. And we make sure that we continue to have picks. If there's any changes, if there's any cuts, if there's any gains, doesn't matter. You have to be allowed to pick. Now, my opponent, who's running against me, doesn't have my record. However, my opponent has insulted and spread lies on 3 different women about who they're sleeping with. Now, what kind of nonsense is that you would go and talk about who's sleeping with who and as a means to showing your criteria to being a union rep? That's a terrible criteria. That if you're going to talk about who's sleeping with who, we already know that you're a gossiper. So why would anybody want you? Because you as a union rep, you're there to safeguard people's information because you get people's personal information. So if you're going out there telling people about who's sleeping with who, true or untrue, you can't be trusted. You cannot be trusted. You are not a fighter for me. All right? You can't be trusted. You can check the page for more information. One of our women operators even posted something about it because she was very upset because this person went up to one of the operator's friends and made a disgusting remark about who she's sleeping with. And you know, be honest with you, who the hell cares if she's sleeping with somebody or she's not sleeping on? What business is that of yours? Run your campaign and run it clean. You running for division chair, run your record against my record. All right? Tell me what you can do different except running to the boss and ratting people out. That's what you need to do. All right? And I'm sorry about my passion. It is what it is. I'm a fighter and I hate a fraud. And that's what that person is, a fraud. I'm battle tested. I fight the boss. My opponent has been in the boss's office to tell. I call that a snitch. Every moment in our lives is a teaching moment. Capitalize on mistakes and read everything. That's a very important words that I just picked up on the other day, and I wanted to spread that out there. The closer you are to the source, the higher your property value. All right? That's my live today, folks. If you want to chime in with me, I'm asking you guys to continue to let me fight for you. We're the Stand United team. We know that there's other online entities that spread what they spread. I'm in the field. My members seen us in the field. We in the depots. We in the swing rooms. We out there. We've been very, very active. Very active. And we're about fighting for our members. And that's really the bottom line. We can continue this conversation after we finish this live, but I gotta tell you, be very careful. This is not about, I'm gonna agree with people. I'm gonna agree with people out there. It's not about who's popular. It's not about you my friend or you're not my friend. It's not about that. It's about who goes out here and does the job. And you ask around about me. You ask around. I've always been a fighter. My career started in Manhattanville Depot. I was a bus operator out of Manhattanville Depot. I got in trouble. I felt that, and I'm gonna tell you a quick story. I was working a shuttle. Other departments, they would know it as GOs. I was doing a GO. I was doing a shuttle. And I was working out of Manhattan, so I had to go do a shuttle in the Bronx. They gave us a route that we didn't really, just wasn't a clear route. So got to the Bronx. I think we was doing either the 4 train or the 2 train. I don't remember. So many years ago now. Anyway, it got to a point in the route where it was very confused. I was very confused on what to do, where to turn. So I saw a bus make a turn. So I followed what the bus did. So the dispatcher stopped me. Dispatcher said that I was supposed to do 2 rights, something like that, 2 rights and a left. And he said, and I thought he said, make sure that I do that on the next trip. I was like, all right, no problem. I continued in service going back towards the Grand Concourse. Dispatcher called me back up, said, I told you to make 2 rights and a left or whatever. So I was like, well, I really didn't understand your instructions. At the end of the day, the guy wrote me up 5 violations. All right. This was my day off, my RDO, by the way. So I was like, okay. I was very upset. I took a day suspension over it after I settled it, and I swore, and that's not the only story I have, but I swore that I would fight for my members and get to the bottom of the truth, or at least get the best solution or the best deal that I could for my operators and my traffic checkers, for that matter. And that's what I swore that I would do. So I came up through the ranks. I started off as the chief lounge steward out of Manhattanville Depot. And at the same time, that's when, well, a little bit before, I was writing my newsletters. And then I moved up to recording secretary, learning my craft, getting experience. Then I moved up to the vice chair. And then I started getting into the division vice chair. And then some years later, I made it to the division chair. And nothing's changed about me except the fact that I fight smarter. You know, I don't just take out the Louisville Slugger, swing first, and then wait for the reaction. I analyze the situation and choose the right situation to swing the Louisville Slugger now. But the fight is still there. And this was my first term as a division chairman, and it wasn't an easy term because management did test me. All right, management tested me, but at every level of that test, I passed that test, and I became a thorn in their side, and I continue to be a thorn in management's side because I won't stand for any violations. I don't make no deals on nothing that's going to have a vast effect on my members, and that's just the way I've always lived, and that's how I'll always be. All right. For those of you who are on here, thank you for being on here with me today. And if you can do me a favor, just share with the rest of the Mapstower group, because it's a closed group, so you can't share this video outside unless I release it. But share it with the rest of the Mapstower group. It would be greatly appreciated. Show your friends, and let them know that I'm the real deal. I'm the truth. All right. The ones that's running, they're not the real deal. They're not the truth. With that being said, you guys have a great one, and we continue this conversation offline. Have a great one.